The movie opens in 1945, near the last days of World War II, where a skilled gunman and pilot named Shikishima lands on a bizarre island. He lands in there for some technical issue in the plane, and a team of mechanics has been sent to the island for his help. However, the night comes, and they set their dorms at a cozy place for the maximum resting hours. Suddenly, Shikishima noticed the dead animal on the surface of the water but ignored it for an instant. However, his ignorance led to massive chaos, and a giant Godzilla attacked them in the middle of the night. They try to avoid danger by putting Shikishima in front of the monster with the special gun. However, the fierce groans and screams of the monster give him chills, and he fails to pull the trigger. The throbbing voices of his teammates dug deeper into his subconscious, and he let the monster hunt them. The monster gets near and destroys the whole place with a massive collision and robust attack. He wakes up the next morning in a pool of dead bodies where his entire team is gone except for one friend, who is now the enemy for letting the monster take innocent lives. Two survivors ride back home with the shreds of their friends and loads of regrets. He has to live on the label of coward for the rest of his life. In 1947, he was back home in Tokyo, which has now perished and just a garbage pile. His neighbor blames him for the death of her children because he let Godzilla live and attack her family. Hence, the neighbor gives him the last letter from his dead parents, who really wanted him to come back alive from the mission. Here, he is alive but damaged by regrets and guilt. Every morning was a new challenge for him, and then suddenly a woman bumped into him with a little girl. She is running from the cops to steal a meal for the baby but escapes them by putting the kid into Shikishami's lap. He waited for her the whole day and then took the baby with him. Luckily, the lady finds him and takes the baby back, revealing that she is not her girl, but her dying mother begs her to rescue the baby. Since then, she has been taking the baby with her, and they are now at Shikishami's perished home for the night stay. Shikishami asks her to abandon the baby because she needs care and shelter. She is in no state to keep the baby, but she rebels and sticks to the decision. The angry neighbor offers the baby with the mother's milk, so they start living in the doomed houses. Akiko, the baby girl, is dependent on them, and Shikishami comes in with an offer to work for mine cleaning one day. The government-approved jobs with better boats and advanced facilities. Nori, the girl who showed up with Akiko, is annoyed by the risks of the job. She never wants him to risk his life again, but Shikishami wants to give Akiko a better life. So, he compels her to agree and moves on with the mission the next day. However, he is shocked to see that there is no special boat and no advanced weapons. Hence, the team welcomes him, and he meets the kid, the doctor and the shooter. They had to clear the water mines that Americans set during the war in the Japanese waters. The shooter fails to aim the bombs, and Shikishami impresses others by grabbing the shooting gun. He is great at shooting and clears up the mines in no time. He is back home, but the traumatic night from 1945 still haunts his nights. He is having nightmares of his death with his teammates because he fails to compete for Godzilla, but Nori consoles him. Years passed, and they got enough jobs to build a house and make a living. Shikishami invites his colleagues to dinner, and they consider Nori his wife and Akiko his girl. But he reveals the truth and gets lively suggestions in return to marry Nori and officially adopt Akiko. But he ignores it because he is still in a war with himself. Nori also finds a job to stand up in her professional life, and the neighbor helps in taking care of Akiko. In May 1947, a colossal creature was tracked at the seashores of Ogasawara Islands. Shikishami notices the wrecked ship and several dead fish on the surface of the water, but numerous in number. The creature has grown bigger and more powerful in all these years. They can't fight it back with this mini boat and a few explosions. Calling for help is still not working because they can't send help immediately. Shikishami again sees the monstrous Godzilla in front of his eyes, 100 times bigger and fiercer. They freak out to see the size and roar but muster up the courage to throw the bombs on it. The bombs and even the multiple gunshots are completely ineffective. They decide to try ruining its mouth by throwing the bomb in between the teeth. But the plug to activate the bomb is broken, so Shikishami's gunshots are the only chance. He keeps on shooting until the bomb explodes, and they get the silence of 2 minutes. They think that they have gotten rid of the danger, but the monster is back with a more angry face. The exploded parts are regenerating on their own. Nothing works, but a ray of hope brings the light there when the Takao ship comes in with large weapons and much more. They shoot the monster multiple times, but it is back every time with louder screams and stronger roars. The monster destroys the Takao ship into pieces and throws the fire blazes on them. In addition, the monster produces some highly damaging radioactive heat waves from its body and destroys the last shreds of the ship. Luckily, Shikishami and his colleagues reached the safe spots and got the needed medical assistance. He is back home but broken and damaged. He is always in despair and sad, which compels Nori to axe his wounds. He explodes in tears to state that he never deserves to live, and he again can't fight Godzilla like the night before. He blames himself for all the damage and even considers it all a dream. Nori consoles him and encourages him to live again for Akiko. He is convinced to see Akiko smile. Hence, fate doesn't agree, and the Godzilla have reached their homes. He is home playing with his girl, but the monster is rumbling the cars and buildings under his colossal feet. Its one roar is enough to freeze the blood running in their nerves. The chaos has started, and Nori is on the train, which is exactly in front of the monster. It takes the parts of the train into the mouth and shakes it up in the air, resulting in several deaths. Nori jumps into the water and walks down the street after swimming. It is approaching the city and perishing the long buildings into pieces. It flares up the buildings like pieces of paper. Shikishami finds Nori on the road and takes her with him along the crowd. The missiles hit the monster, and it activates the real terror, which can shake the whole city in one jerk. The monster activates the highly active radioactive heat waves through its fins and throws them on the city. The massive explosion resulted in the turning of the city into dust pieces. Nori pushes Shikishami away and ends up losing her life. Another life ends due to Shikishami, which is even worse than a traumatic thought. It is enough to haunt him for the rest of his life. The monster is still standing there, looks like, smirking on the ashes of the whole city. Shikishami is back with a broken heart and perished dreams of living once again. At Nori's funeral, his friend Doctor asks him to take part in Godzilla's final killing mission. It is a method of killing the monster with the pressure of the depths of the ocean. He organizes a concentrated saltwater model, which enables the creature to sink, which makes it suffocate and eventually die. They'll tie the creature with high potential cables and take it to the depths. Shikishami wants its death at any cost, so he doesn't agree with just a hopeful plan. He wants the end plan. But the doctor asks him to trust the process. In addition, if it doesn't work, they also have a plan B. They have prepared a life preserver device which will throw it on the surface with extreme pressure. It is a process of massive decompression that can help them fight back against the newly born magnanimous creature. Most of them are unwilling to participate because the government and states are responsible for taking action, but not the naval soldiers. Hence, the government is not taking any action, so they have no choice but to fight back the monster. They don't force people to participate but motivate them to fight for their families. Mostly agrees, and the team is set to work. Shikishami wants to draw the monster on the shore, and they have no firm plans to call it off other than acoustic sources. But he comes up with making it angrier with a fighter plane which he wants to fly. He is wishing death through this, and his friends are not just in the mood to let him do that, but he is persistent. He wants to avenge Nori's death by killing the monster once and for all. They found the fighter plane a few years back, but it needs repairing. Shikishami knows who can help to repair it well. He requests some time and heads on to find Tachibana, his old friend from Odo Island. He finds it in every nook and corner but doesn't want to be found. Hence, he writes hundreds of letters to offend him, which can make him appear. The same happens, Tachibana hopes in and starts fighting him for blaming him for the Odo Island incident. Finally, he agrees to repair the plane and do his best. On the other hand, the soldiers are ready to fight for their futures, and their faces beam from the pouring patriotism. They know that they can die, but they are still working for their best for their families and a better future. The government never supported them and betrayed them with unarmed forces, damaged weapons and incomplete equipment. Still, they are ready to fight, which makes them heavenly. The doctor and Shikishami ask their injured friend to stay home, but he really wants to participate. Since they want someone at their back end for their families, they let him stay back. Hence, it's the last safe night for all soldiers with their families, so Shikishami takes Akiko back home from the neighbor. He takes her home, shows her fatherly love and praises her drawing. But he has to leave the little angel with a letter the next morning. He is all prepared to fight the monster. In the meantime, Akiko is back at the neighbor's gate with the letter. He is set on a journey where he has the responsibility of luring the monster to the target area. The monster is already on the shore and gets ready with its loud roars to fight back. The ships are on board, and the colleague threatens Shikishami to come back alive because he also wants him to love because of Akiko. Shikishami ignores his friend's concern and rides towards the monster with a determined mind. The monster approaches the residence area and smashes them into pieces, but Shikishami takes responsibility on time and starts circling the plane on its head. It is tickled and gets angry by the buzzing of the plane, and it follows it to the waters. Hence, Shikishami lures it with great encouragement and bravery while dodging its deadly attacks. The ships are ready to attack and sprinkle it with the cables to execute the plan. The monster is so pissed off that it activates the highly active radioactive heat waves, but the ships survive it for once. It is ready to commence again, but the doctor compels them to stick to the plan. Meanwhile, some of them lose their hearts and think of backing off, but the doctor keeps them in line. Shikishami distracts the monster while circling it against the cables and throws the high explosives toward it. The monster is ready to throw another heat wave, but it gets lost somewhere in the depths of the water because the cable pushes it deeper under extreme pressure. Plan A seems to succeed until the monster is up again, roaring and screaming. They have to go with Plan B and command the cables to pull it over. But the cables are not working anymore because the monster has chewed them, and eventually, the force breaks their cranes, which is highly unexpected. Luckily, Shikishami's colleague, who was left behind, is seen with help from the government. He is here with several boats and a naval army team with advanced weapons and skilled soldiers. They are mad to see him here, and keeping up with the plan, they help pull the monster onto the surface to use the life preserver device. However, nothing works here because of the monster's extreme powers, which are disappointing and heart-wrenching. The monster is ready to throw the heat waves, but Shikishami plays his part here. He strikes the plane filled with bombs and explosives to its face and burns it into ashes. The smoke and heat waves touch the sky, but they are harmless now because the monster is dead with a burnt face. The hero nullifies the heat waves and rescues humanity without thinking of his own life. All hearts stop for a moment to see him dead, but the parachute spreads smiles all around. He is lurking through the parachute and lands in a safe spot. The entire team and the country's army salute Shishikami's bravery. He deserves all respect and honor. The monster is sunk deeper into the depths of the ocean and is not coming back to haunt lives. The movie's final scenes bring another joy when the neighbor rushes to him with a telegram. It is from a hospital where Nori is found alive and getting the treatment. He rushes to her and cries with the joy of getting his love and honor back. His war has finally ended, and now he can embrace his love for Nori and give Akiko a life.